Hello students, welcome back to another lecture on Historia. In this lecture, we're going to start with chapter 2, that is Political and Economic History, How Inscriptions Tell a Story. So in this lecture, we're going to discuss about the ancient Indian period starting from 6th century BCE to 6th century CE. So basically, we're going to talk about about a period of ancient India from 16 Mahajanapadas till the Gupta Empire. And ancient India during this period of time was ruled by a number of dynasties, but the most important of them are the Mauryan Empire and the Gupta Empire. So we're going to discuss about them in details. But apart from these two important empires, we also have a number of small dynasties. They are the Shungas, they are the Kanvas, they are the Greeks, Persian, Chakas, and the Kushanas. So we're going to discuss about them also, but briefly. So let's start with our lecture for today, that is the early states. So India in the 6th century BCE began to experience a number of trends. A number of trends were emerging or changes were emerging in terms of the political life and also in terms of the socio-economic life. In terms of the political life, states, kingdoms, and empires began to emerge during this period of time. Before the 6th century BCE, the political life of the people was that of a tribal one, in a sense that the tribal polity was the highest polity that they have. But after the 6th century BCE, the tribal polity shifted toward the states, the kingdoms, and the empires. So people experienced changes in terms of the political life. Next is we have in terms of socio-economic life. Under that, they people experience changes in terms of agriculture in a sense in the use of iron. So what happened is that before the 6th century BC, the use of iron was not much common, but after the 6th century BC, the use of iron as agricultural tools began to increase. So with that, it helped in the development of the agriculture as well. Next is emergence of new towns. So what happened is that when agricultural produce increased, the trade increased, and when trade increased, new commercial towns began to emerge, in a sense that those places which is been situated between the land routes or between the sea routes now began to emerge as new commercial towns. So next is we're going to discuss about the sources of study. So there are different sources that give us information about the ancient period. For example, there are the inscriptions, the coins, texts, and visual materials. So inscriptions are engravings or writing on hard objects like pillars, stones, walls, cave, etc. These inscriptions are issued by the rulers to make a proclamation or to spread their laws. Apart from this, it also records grants and public constructions made by the king and also by the private individuals. Next is we have coins. So on the coins, the names of the rulers are given with date of when coins were being issued, and also different images, sometimes even on the kings, were being printed or were being impressed on the coins. So these coins help us understand the political history of the period. Next is the text. So different books which were written during those period also give us information about the social, political, economic, and religious life of the people. Visual materials such as the monuments, palaces, buildings, and artifacts which has been left behind by the people also help us in understanding the social and economic life of the people. Next is the work of James Prinsett. So who is James Prinsett? James Prinsett, he is an officer who works under the East India Company in the mint department. Mint department in the sense that where coins and money are being made. So he was the first one who deciphered the Brahmin and the Kharosthi script. These two scripts are being used by the ancient people to write on the inscriptions or also on the coins. And he was the first one, James Prinsett was the first one who was able to translate or understand the Brahmin or the Kharosthi script. And when he was translating the Brahmin and the Kharosthi script, he came across the word Piyadasi, which translates to be pleasant to behold. And he also came across that Ashoka was often being referred to as Piyadasi, that is pleasant to behold. So after the Brahmin and the Kharosthi script was been deciphered by James Prinsett, a number of European and Indian historians, they began to use the inscriptions and texts which was composed in various languages to study the lineage of important dynasty that ruled over ancient India. For example, the Mauryas. So they were trying to find out who succeeded Chandragupta Maurya. or who succeeded after Bindusara, or who succeeded after Ashoka. So they were trying to find out the lineage of the Mauryan dynasty, not only the Mauryan dynasty, but the dynasties that ruled over ancient India during this period of time. Afterward, these historians they began to change their approach towards studying the political changes with regard to that of the socio-economic development. They were trying to find out whether the socio-economic development that the people experienced during those days has any link with the political changes of that time. Next is the early state. Under the early state, we will discuss about the 16 Mahajanapadas. But before we proceed with 16 Mahajanapadas, we will discuss about the 6th century turning points. There are some points that we have already discussed in the beginning, such as the rise of the early states and cities. Under these, I told you how the tribal polity shifted towards the states, the kingdoms, and empires. Next is the growing use of iron, and we discussed this with regard to agriculture, how the people use iron for the agricultural tools that in turn help them in the development of agriculture. And apart from agricultural tools, iron was also used to make their weapons. Next is development of coinage. So during this period, the coins developed and it helped them in boosting their trade and commerce. Rise of many religious sects. So in the 6th century, a number of religious sects emerged, but from among them, the most famous are Jainism and Buddhism. So these are some of the turning points or some of the changes that people experienced in the 6th century BC, such as the rise of the early states, how the people shifted from tribal polity towards the states, kingdoms, and empires, and how new cities and all began to grow because of the development in terms of agriculture helped them in their trade and commerce, and how the development of trade and commerce helped them towards the emergence of new towns and cities, and development of coins, and also the rise of many religious sects. And among these religious sects, the Jainism and Buddhism was the most famous one. 16 Mahajanapadas. So the Buddhist and the Jain texts provide us information about the existence of the 16 Mahajanapadas. These 16 Mahajanapadas are the Angad, the Magad, Vasta, Kaushal, Kuru, Avanti, Panchal, Mala, Jedai, Kasi, Vaji, Matsya, Surasena, Asmaka, Gandhar, and Kamboj. I've also provided a map of the 16 Mahajanapadas. If you want, you can pause the video and look the map and also the location. And as you can see on the map that the 16 Mahajanapadas are located, most of them are located in the valley of Ganga and Yamuna. The names of the 16 Mahajanapadas differ from text to text. However, some of the names such as Magad, Vasta, Kaushal, Kuru, Avanti, and Panchal, they are often mentioned in the text. So there are two forms of government that existed during the 16 Mahajanapadas. They are the monarchical form of government and the republic form of government. Under the monarchical form of government, it is ruled by the king, whereas under the republic, it is ruled by a number of rajas. That means in a particular area, it is ruled by a number of people and not just one person. That is the opposite of the monarchical form of government, because in a monarchical form of government, it is ruled by just one person, that is the king. And this monarchical form of government are found in the Gangetic plains that is around this region, and for the republic form of government, it is found in the foothills of the Himalayas and in the northwestern part of India. Next is with regard to political conditions. So we don't have much accounts about the kingdoms of the 16 Mahajanapadas, but still we can draw some conclusions about the political conditions. So during this period of time, there was no political unity because the existing kingdom or the 16 Mahajanapadas was engaged in a continuous power struggle. With regard to administration, each Mahajanapadas had its own capital city. The capital city was often fortified by hills or sometimes by moats. With regards to army, they also have their own standing army, plus even the army are also recruited from the peasantry. The city has its own bureaucrats or officers who works under the king, and it was during this period of time that Dharam Shastras, a Sanskrit text, was being composed by the Brahmins. Dharam Shastras is a rule or law that the people and also the rulers has to abide. Next is the means of acquiring wealth during this period of time was through taxes that is being levied on the people and plus rates. The kingdom of Magad, first among the 16th. Magad was an ancient kingdom that can be found in the southern Bihar in the district of Patna and Gaya. Magad was ruled by a number of dynasties such as the Haryanka dynasty, the Nanda dynasty, the Mauryan dynasty, and the Gupta dynasty. Important rulers of the Haryanka dynasty is Bimbisara and Ajatashatru. For the Nanda, it is Mahapadma Nanda. For the Mauryan, it is Chandragupta Maurya and Ashoka. And for the Gupta, it is Chandragupta I, Samudragupta, and Chandragupta II. And the first dynasty ever to be established at Magad was the Bharhadratha dynasty, which was founded by Brihadratha. And the capital of Magad was first established at Rajgir, which is also known as Giriviraha, and it was established by Bimbisara, who belonged to the Haryanka dynasty. Later on, the capital of Magad was shifted to Patliputra in the 4th century by the Shishunagas. So Shishunagas were the next dynasty that ruled over Magad after the Haryanka dynasty. And from the 6th to 4th century BCE, Magad was the nerve center of political activity in North India. So the last topic for today's lecture is reason for rise of Magad, and there are a number of reasons that contributed to the growth of the Magadhan Empire, and we will discuss them one by one. But the main reason is related with regard to the geographical and strategic advantages. So from these, the subpoints are being divided, so we will discuss them. So the first is Rajgir was surrounded by hills. So the capital Rajgir was surrounded by hills on all sides, so it acted as a natural frontier that protects them from their enemies. Next is strong rulers. So as discussed, Magad was ruled by a number of ambitious and strong rulers. For example, Bimbisara and Ajatashatru from the Haryanka dynasty and Mahapadma Nanda from the Nanda dynasty. They strengthened the kingdom of Magad by establishing a standing army and also expanded the kingdom of Magadha by annexing different states. Next is access to iron ore and copper. So Magad had huge copper and iron ore deposits, and availability of these deposits enabled them to develop advanced weapons and tools. So fourthly, Magad was situated between Ganges and Son. So as a result, the region was very fertile, which helped them in the growth of the agriculture. And the next is increased trade and commerce. Since Magad is already situated between Ganges and Son, it has an upper hand when it comes to controlling of trade. And Ganga was very important for trade in North India during this period of time, and thus mastery over Ganga meant economic hegemony. So that is the end for today's lecture. I hope you have learned something, and if you have enjoyed the video, give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel and click the notification button so that whenever I upload a new video, you will be notified. And please share this video with your friends and also with your brothers and sisters so that they can also learn something, because something is better than nothing. And also follow me on Instagram. The link for Instagram is given below. You click the link there, go to Instagram and follow me there.